Well, having been through all of that, I would like to start creating my first very specific shader for my scene. I will get rid of all of the things in the scene already. I don't need any of those. So I'll start over, and in my graph area, I will create a new AI standard surface. This AI standard surface, I am zooming, by the way, by using my Alt or Option camera controls. So Alt Option middle mouse to pan and right mouse to zoom. I am going to start with the floor, so I will call this my floor AIS for AI standard surface. Here in the graph area, you will also see that there's this node called AI standard surface 7SG. This node is a shading group node, and what this does is it connects the material to any object that might be affected by the material. So it's a very important node. You don't necessarily have to rename it because Arnold will keep track of it for you. But don't delete it. That would be bad. So I can come in here if I want to. I can call this floor AIS SG so that I remember that it's a shading group. To assign this material to the floor, I have a few different methods. First, if I go to my outliner, I can select the floor object. Then in the Hypershade, I can right-click on the floor AIS, and I can say Assign Material to Viewport Selection. That will assign it. Second, with the floor selected, out here in any of the modeling panes, in my right-click menu, under Assign Existing Material, there's my floor AIS. That will also assign the material. Third, I can middle mouse drag and drop. That will assign my material as well. Now, with this material selected, what I want to do is set up a wood floor just like I've got in my source images. In the source images, I've got an image called diffuse, an image called normal, and an image called specular. In order to get those into Maya, what I'm going to do is very simple. Here in the graph, I'm going to press Tab and type in File. I want to make a file texture. The other options will generate more complicated nodes, so I'm going to leave them alone for now. I thought I would start with file textures because in some ways they're the easiest to understand. They look like what they do. When I generate a file node, I'm actually creating two nodes. This is the file node, and this Place 2D texture controls where the file will be distributed across an object. So you'll see them created every time I make a file. If I click on the file node, here in the property editor, I have an image name and then a browse button. I'm going to click on that. I will be taken directly to my source images folder, so I will pull in the diffuse image, and you'll see that this looks like a picture of wooden slats. I will say open, and now I can connect this from its out color over to the base color of the floor AIS. And now my teapot looks like it's got this wood texture applied to it. The teapot is irrelevant. The exciting thing is that here in the perspective view, I also look like I've got these nice wooden slats applied to my floor. If you don't see these, that's okay. You may recall from an earlier lesson about the Maya interface that 4 is wireframe and 5 is shaded. That's true. If I go a little bit further, 6 will show me hardware shading. Hooray! I've textured my wood floor. Now, of course, there were 3 image files, so I can go a little bit further. Again, I will press the Tab key and type in File, go to Texture. At this point, I will probably start getting confused because this is called File 1, this is called File 2. If I click on File 1, I can say Base Color Floor. And of course it comes out with my file name, it just wanted me to type something in. This next one I will pull in the specular, so I will call this one Specular Floor, and this one comes in without the file name because why wouldn't it? I can name the Place 2D textures as well. I can call this one Diffuse Floor Place 2D. And I can call this one Specular Floor Place 2D. Again, I will click on the file node itself and then browse and pull in the specular image. This one, it might be helpful for me to have a render running. So right now the floor looks like this. It's very, very shiny. Over here in the graph, I'm going to connect the specular image file to the specular color. What that will do is it will make the floor a lot less shiny, it'll age it, it'll wear it down a little bit. I've got a third image called a normal map, and what a normal map will do is add a little tiny bit of surface detail. So I'll pull that one in the same way. Again, in the graph editor, I will type in File and make a file texture. Move them over here. Pause my render so that that goes a little bit faster. And this one I will call Normal Floor. And Normal Floor Place 2D. I will pull in my image file. And now to connect this, I can't go straight in. Normal maps aren't designed really to connect to anything. If you look at them, you'll see that they've got this lovely kind of purplish tricolored image. They're designed to control the surface normals of an object, not the object itself. So I need a secondary node called a utility node. The node that I'm going to make, if I press Tab, I can type in normal and generate an AI normal map node. I will connect the out color of my normal map image to the input and then go from out value to the normal camera. Now when I go back and I render one more time, you'll see just a little bit of extra roughness on the floor to make it look a little bit older. And that's it. That's my first texture map. There's one more thing that I like to do. If I come back here, I think that these wooden slats look a little too wide. If I take the Place 2D node for each of these, I can Shift select all of them. In the Place 2D node, one of the things that I can do is change the number of times an image file repeats. The default is to repeat once, but if I have this repeat 3 times in the U direction, I will get much smaller floorboards. So the Place 2D node, that little secondary node that was created with each of the image files, will allow me to change the number of times an image repeats on an object. So in this video, I went through bringing in image files and making connections between the image file and the AI standard surface node. Give yourself some time to figure that out. Watch this video as many times as you have to, and ask questions when you need them. In the next video, I will go through setting up the cloth shaders, and I'll do that a slightly different way.